acknowledge the committee that helps put this thing together. The Hall of Fame committee, they're written in your programs on your table, but I would like them to stand, please. Dale McGregor, who chairs the committee, Roger Wilson, Rachel Frank, Dave Nusser, Dave Davies, Sam Wong, Steve Mundell, and myself. We put a lot of time into this, and hopefully, it turns out good. Everybody enjoys it. That's our goal for each year. And again, I know it's going to be mentioned later, but the one thing that we continually look for as a committee is to get more nominations in for all the different categories. And again, you can find that on our website. It's nice to say, hey, we think so and so should be in, but we need to have something in writing. We need to have something on the website, or even if you mail it into us or something, at least it gives us an idea of people who we can nominate. So if you know anyone worthy of it, please let us know. Up in front here, we have a table set aside. We set it up every year. This table up here is to honor those Hall of Fame members who have passed. Unfortunately, just last month we lost another one in Ozzie Williams, who was a friend of mine, a competitor and a coach again. But we always like to remember those Hall of Fame members who have passed away. Each inductee tonight is going to receive a plaque, a certificate, and a ring. And what I'm going to do right now, real quickly, is I'm going to read what the certificate says, what the plaque says, so we don't have to read when each person comes up here to give you an idea of what it's saying. For the certificate, USSSA Washington State Hall of Fame, this witnesses that this person, upon the nomination to the USSSA Washington State Slow Pitch Hall of Fame and the election by the USSSA Washington State membership, is hereby inducted as a member of the United States Specialty Sports Association's Washington State Hall of Fame. In testimony whereof the United States Specialty Sports Association's Washington State Slow Pitch Hall of Fame Committee authorizes this high honor to be recognized forever by those associated with the United States Specialty Sports Association of Washington State. Inducted on this date, the 7th day of February in the year 2015, signed by Dale McGregor and Roger Wilson.
Yeah.
The plaques, they read USSSA Washington State Hall of Fame Award presented to the person in honor of your outstanding achievements within USSSA Washington throughout the years. Your contributions will long be remembered. Inducted into the Hall of Fame February 7th, 2015. All right, our first inductee tonight is in the coach manager category. Frank Faltonsby has been involved, affiliated with USSSA since the early 1980s, being a coordinator and coach of the softball program at Westminster Chapel in Bellevue. He soon switched their league over to USSSA and has continued to stay involved with the USSSA church program ever since. From Westminster Chapel, he went to Overlake Christian, where in 1992 they won the church AB state championship, defeating Perennial Power People's Church. And he's currently at Canyon Hills Community Church, where in 2005 they won the church D state championships. He's also been part of helping the church program grow over the years, as well as helping through the tough times that we are currently going through, and is someone I've enjoyed playing and coaching against and getting to know. Here to speak for Frank tonight is Jim Captain.
I first met Frank Faltonsby around 25 years ago when he manned a men's softball program sign-up table at Overlake Christian Church in Redmond. And Frank oversaw a men's ministry program that fielded as many as 6 teams for league and 4 U-Trip tournament teams. I thought, okay, how competitive could these guys be if they had a church program? Aren't church players supposed to be conformist, non-competitive pansies? Actually, I wrote sissies, but I just said pansies. And of course I thought I was hot stuff as a player because I had played Jack and Jill ball with a group of guys from the gym where I was working out. Boy, will I be able to share and show some of these guys a thing or two. And these were just my thoughts. I filled out the sign-up sheet as Frank was looking on, and one of the boxes to check was skill level. There were 5 boxes, 1 through 5, with 5 being the highest and 1 being not so high. Guess which box I checked. Without saying a word, I heard Frank murmur under his breath, "Guys always think that they're better than they really are." Yep, he had me sized up pretty well. My relationship with Frank grew over the years from being a player on Team 4 to playing and coaching on some of the more competitive teams later on. Frank mentored me not only from a player and coaching perspective, but as a Christ follower, which Frank taught me is really key in any leadership position. Frank helped this legend in his own mind grow in his faith and accountability and leadership and turn him into someone else. He used to think he had it all figured out. He did this all without preaching, just by how he lived his life and conducted himself. I've learned so much from Frank over the years. I even learned that God created the universe during the middle of a ball game. Did you know that? First 3 words in the Bible describes it. In the beginning. I know it's true because Frank says he was there. Scripture also says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And this is from Proverbs 27:17. Remember that verse. Over the years, Frank and I enjoyed conducting summer softball clinics at high schools and universities in Southeast Asia that wanted training in slow pitch because it could be played by a more range of diverse skill levels than fast pitch, which was pretty prevalent there. Anyways, on one of our long 13-hour nonstop flights home from Hong Kong, Frank never left his seat. Remember the verse? Saying he didn't need to. Yeah, iron something. It must be cast iron. I really believe that Frank did most of the sharpening, and I'm so thankful for his mentorship over the years, even in areas where he may not have even realized. I'm really pleased to introduce 2014 USSSA Hall of Fame inductee, Frank Follansbee.
Yeah, Jim and I had a great relationship over the years, and we both learned from each other. And that's one reason why I chose him to introduce me, because I feel like we've had a great relationship and I've enjoyed it. I just want to say thanks to 3 groups or individuals. First of all, I couldn't do this without a wife who for 57 years now has watched me run off to play softball. Brenda, I'm going to ask you to stand up. Go ahead. Come on, Brenda. Oh, I'm in trouble for that. Yeah, she hates to have attention her way. Secondly, I had daughters who either went to games or let me go. In fact, I have one daughter who actually pitched a couple of games and still holds it against me. So when my daughter's in back to this done. So let's see. The third group that I wanted to thank was a lot of the guys that have played for me. You know, as a coach, as a player, you cannot run a good program if you don't have guys who are willing to pull with you. And over the years, those of you who've coached for years and years, and I've been coaching, when I started at Biola as their baseball coach, so I've been coaching for years and years and years. You know you can't run a good program without guys and women who are willing to allow you to coach and don't fight you for leadership. So I've enjoyed so much getting to know people over the years. And finally, I want to thank God for giving me the health to be able to do it. You know, a lot of people would love to be able to play ball and that for years and years and years, and they're not able to because physically they're not able to hold up. And so I'm really thankful that I've had the privilege of playing and coaching for 40 years now. So thank you guys for inviting me and giving me this award.
All right, our second inductee tonight is in the umpire category, Mr. Chris Greger. Chris began umpiring when he was just 16 years old. He went from umpiring in high school to playing baseball at the University of Washington and at Whitman College. After playing softball on some of the better teams in Washington, he returned to umpiring in the late 1980s and quickly became one of the top umpires in the area. He was requested and volunteered for all the top-level games he could get and earned the respect of players and coaches in Washington. In 1995, he was elected to umpire in the Men's World Series in Florida and had the honor of being requested to work the plate in the championship game. Here to introduce Chris is fellow umpire Kevin Moeller.
Chad, how are you doing today? Good to see you. Good to see all the inductees. Before I get started, I do want a big shout out to Ed Haugen, who retired last year at 42 years. I wonder why you're doing it great. One of my answers when I came up and someone who took time to help me out at Issaquah, deal with Layton and some of the other people that were out there that were always running after us as umpires. Chris tells me that he first started umpiring in or around the age of 16. He worked over in Enumclaw, Ellensburg, yeah, Ellensburg. Both a couple of places that have a lot of stuff on the field that doesn't have anything to do with the game. He constantly strived to become an umpire based on his relationship with his father. He told me that he made $4.50 a game, and I had an old saying, I used to make $15 a game, and I always used to tell you in the pregame that you got $14.99 worth of stuff during the game, and then after that, you were probably going to punch your ticket somewhere else, and I just don't think I could have umpired in that era at $4.50 a whack. We both grew up in or around the same time. Chris had a longer career than I did before I got there, but he was someone who, he always looked good in his uniform. Big strapping guy. He was a player, which I always thought was funny because being a player and being an umpire is a little bit like being in the NAACP and the KKK all at the same time, because I don't think you can relatively do it very well. There's a few people, Steve, I know you did it, and I said did it well, Steve, so don't get too excited. I can tell you that Chris was an athlete, and I think that before he went to become an umpire, he had the respect of a lot of players, and I think that helped him. I had a lot of respect for him because, I always wanted to look just like him. He had a sharp uniform, all fully pressed, nice deals. And he was the first guy, and I think he was really responsible for some trench setting, some project runway activity out there. Because see, back in the day, we used to wear these socks. This is what they gave us. And actually, this is a contemporary back in the day sock. Because when I broke it, you had 3 red stripes, and it didn't say USSSA on it. And we had to wear them all the way up to your knee, and nobody wears, socks unless you're with the Knicks back in the day, all the way up to your knees. Chris never put them on. always had him down, would pay a fine at the beginning of the year, and then coast through the rest of the year with his socks down. I really admired that. He was able to change the way we looked, and at some point in my career, we went to the nice little booty socks that we have now. Chris says that girls didn't like his white legs during the games. When he would wear these, it would be sunny, and then he'd have these white legs. And he said that girls didn't like that white leg look. I don't think women really liked umpires anyway, Chris. So from my take, I think you were on the wrong spot. He also played for a team, Miller's. Is there anybody here from Miller tonight? Anybody remember that old Miller? Just you, Chris. Just you. That's you know, they were good teammates. They had Billy Williams, right? And Gene Anderson. And they had a player called the Fridge. Does anybody remember the Fridge? The Fridge was not one of my favorite players. The Fridge was called the Fridge because that's about how long it took for him to get down to the first baseline, and he was out every time. So we had the pregame, and I'm walking up, and I can hear the Fridge is barking, you know, everybody stay off the umpire. Nobody on the umpire during the game. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting, because he's the only guy in the dugout that's ever really on the umpire. So I'm pretty encouraged by that, you know, by that speech he's making in the dugout. And he comes up, there's 2 outs in the bottom of the first, there's 2 guys on, and he hits a 2-hopper to the first base, rather on the first base side, and they pick it up and throw it over to first. And from my perspective, it's the Fridge. He's going to be out every time. It's close, though. It's close, so I bang him out. He goes ballistic, walks back over, gets ejected, and here's Chris standing in the dugout, and he goes, well, that didn't last very long. Consequently, it was a doubleheader. We go to the second game, and up comes Billy Williams, and Billy didn't like me either. You know, for many of you players, you probably remember that feeling. He didn't like me either, so Billy walks up and he says, Kevin, that was really a bad call in the first inning last year when you threw Billy out, when you threw the Fridge out at first base. And I looked at Billy and I said, Billy, if you thought that was a bad call, you're really going to hate this one. And Billy went. And I looked over at Chris, and Chris is just laughing, whooping it up. So that Miller team was a very tough team. Chris was an umpire who went on to do the Men's Major World Series in Daytona Beach, I believe,
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
He was one of the guys who actually made it onto ESPN, right? They filmed some of the game and called me up and said, hey, I'm going to be on ESPN, and sure enough, there he was. And he had several other highlights in his career, none more than getting to work with, I think, you know, the group of umpires back in the 90s that did predominantly the Sunday games. And you know, that was Eddie, certainly Stephen Stepp, who's not here tonight, one of our guys who's passed away, a real character in and of himself, Bobby Scott, and Chris, and myself. And I look back at those times, and they were some of the best times of being out on the field, and we lived together all summer long doing hundreds of games. Players would come up to me in May, and you know, there'd be a problem, and somebody would bark from the dugout, hey, wait a minute, we're going to have this guy a dozen more times this year. And that was always, you know, that was always a factor. We had some interesting nights out at Green Lake. Yeah, doing the Rainbow Coalition games. That was always very exciting as an umpire after I would do, you know, 8 games, and then to get to go down there and do those 4 games, and you knew you were in for a tough game when you looked over into the dugout and they were knitting with steel wool. That was some tough women back in the days. There was also things I saw go on in the dugout that I didn't understand until about 10 years later after the advent of the internet. I will also end, I guess, by saying, Chris, great friend, good umpire, great umpire here. Today, in front of you, I present one of the last of the dying breed. He's started when he was 15 umpiring and went all the way to the top, and is a good friend and a good teammate, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Thanks, Chris.
Sadly, most of that is true. I thought about it for the last couple of days. I started umpiring, Kevin's correct, the spring of 1976, got drug out of the hayfield. My dad had umpired the year before. Back then, ASA was the only game in town. and said, hey, if you're into it, why don't you come umpire some softball games? I thought, how bad can that be? I'm in the hayfield, gotta be better than that. So I thought about how am I gonna, I was out there for just about 30 years, from the time I first put on a ASA uniform till the time that I called it quits in '05. And so how do I sum that up in a reasonably quick period of time? And I thought, think about the memories that you might have of all that time. What are a handful that come to mind? So I thought I'd share those with you tonight. The first one is, of course, the very first game I did at 16 years old. In about May of 1976, 16 years old, I go out, and of course, for all you that are old enough to remember, that was back in the day when you did the warm-ups in the tavern, and you brought the 40-ounce coolers of beer with ice, and everybody had 19 Rainiers in them before you even threw the first pitch. Okay, so take yourself back to that day. All right, so there I am. Top of the first inning, first two guys, easy fly balls. Third guy, two-hopper to the pitcher, out by a mile. This is great. Bottom of the first two guys, lazy fly balls. I'm thinking, this is great. This is going to be easy. This is the best decision I ever made in my life. Third guy up in that inning hits about a 9-hopper to the third baseman. It is bang, bang at first base. And the guy running is about 6'4". He's got a goatee. He's got 9 Rainiers in him. And that's when I learned that Ty doesn't go to the runner. Ty goes to the ump. Everybody's looking at me and, oh, I got him out. He turns to me and says, you're effed. And now, you know, I don't know if you've ever had in your experience in life when time kind of slows down a little bit, and you have the time to kind of stop and think about things, and I did. For that period of time, I thought, what comes out of my mouth in the next 5 seconds is going to be a big factor in how long I go in umpiring softball. And I turned around and threw the guy out of the game. And he turned around and looked at me and said, well, you're still effed. And I said, well, you're still gone. And so in the course of about 5.5 minutes, I had 5 outs, an injection, and I was off of my softball career. And I was ASA, and so here we go. So some lessons I learned early on, keeping in mind I'm 16 years old, and I worked in Ellensburg through the summers. I'd come back from college, and I'd work games, and it was about 2 summers later. Now keeping in mind I'm in my teens and early 20s, so I want to party with everybody else, so I'm not going to lie. There was a few games I did there where I had a little bit of a headache on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, especially in Ellensburg when it's 108 at noon, and you're standing out there trying to call balls and strikes. So I had a game that I remember that there was a team, and by the way, I learned this early on too, and for every umpire out there, you know that it's a mathematical equation. And how many times you're going to see a game or a team over the course of a weekend is directly equates to how bad they hate you. Okay? So if you completely had a bad game with them on Friday night or first thing Saturday morning, it's guaranteed that they're going to be in the loser's bracket on your field 5 more times. And so that's what happened to me one time. I had to be about 18, 19 years old, and this team that wanted to kill me on Friday night, I have it at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and I'm not feeling very good. And so we have a guy out at second base, and he's chirping for inning after inning after inning. We get to about the 4th inning, and my head hurts so bad I can't take it anymore, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with that. So I walked out, and he's standing at second base, and I looked at him and said, okay, you know what, I'll just be truthful. How can that go wrong? I looked at him and said, okay, I've had about enough, and I'm totally waiting for this to explode on me. I said, if you say one more word, I'm going to throw you. And I'm going to go to the dugout, and I'm going to pick out enough guys to throw until you don't have enough to finish the game, and then I'm going to go get in my car and take a nap, which is really where I want to be anyway. So do we understand? Not a problem. It was quiet the rest of the game. Wow, that worked way better than I thought that was going to work. So I kind of used that for a lot of years after that, and that worked out well, but I have a vivid memory of the first time I ever did that to a guy, and that worked out great. It was not a year later. For all you old people out there, you may remember that Cle Elum used to run a 4th of July firecracker invite every year over the 4th of July. And we'd go out there, and it was one giant party. And so after my last game on Saturday, everybody gathered at the Brick Tavern in Roslyn. Party till about 2:30 in the morning. I was staying in Ellensburg, which is a solid 35 minutes from Clay. I'm trying to follow the guys after we leave the Brick. It's going out to somebody's house, and all of a sudden I zigged when I should have zagged, and it's dark, and I'm in Clay, and I don't have a clue where I am, and I look at my watch, it's 2:30. I gotta be on the field at 8. I don't know, I better get going, I don't know where I am, so I drive back, and oh my God, there's the softball field. So I pull over, and I get home, next thing I hear is it's the sprinklers on the field, and I'm in the dugouts. Gather my gear, tuck in my shirt. I got 8 games on Sunday, and I'm ready to go. Slept in the dugout that day. That was pretty good. So I worked in Ellensburg in high school and through college till about 1985, and then I relocated and moved to Tacoma. I worked there for 2 years, and then I moved to the Seattle area. And I remember the first tournament I did after I moved to Seattle was with Dale McGregor. And I showed up, and it wasn't a month after I moved to Seattle, and I'm looking around, and everybody there is now currently a Hall of Fame member from an umpire standpoint. And I'm looking around going, wow, this is a pretty impressive crew. And so we get done over the weekend, and Dale and Roger had the van at the time, and that was parked right in the middle of the softball complex, and he had coolers full of beer, and it was hot. And we got done, and I'm done on Sunday, and Dad said, why don't you come on over here and sit down and have a beer? So we had some beers, and Dale looks at me and goes, did you enjoy yourself this weekend? I said, well, you know, softball, it wasn't that bad. He goes, you having fun sucking down some beers? Yeah. He goes, you want to do this again? Yeah. Well, back in the day, you used to do 2 shirts. You know, you worked ASA and you could do USSSA, so everybody had a blue shirt hanging in their closet, a red shirt in the closet, and Dale looked at me and said, you can come back here again, you burn that blue shirt. And I thought to myself, well, who's this guy telling me that I'm going to be burning my blue shirt? And then I thought about it again and said, but he does have beer and treats. I'm in. I said, I'm in. That was the last ASA game I ever upped in my life. And come to find out, Dale, if you know him at all, if you played as a team, you wanted to sign up for tournaments that him and Roger ran, because Dale didn't really want to work a bunch of games. He just wanted to go and sit in the middle and have some beers and talk softball. Well, the only way you could do that is if you had enough umpires on the field where it was going to be quiet. Dale wasn't interested in justice, he was interested in quiet. So let's get enough guys where they can handle their own stuff, and there's not going to be any problems, so nobody's going to bug me sitting over here talking with Roger. So I came to find out in a hurry that Dale's crew is where he wanted to be, and the only way you were going to get there is to burn the blue shirt. So that's a memory I have from long back. Now, speaking of Roger real quick, anybody that knows him knows that he used to get on umpires, and if you didn't know him real well, you would have thought, you know, if he could get a monkey to go out there and umpire games, he would if he wouldn't have to pay him. Okay, and I used to think that, you know, Roger, you're a nice enough guy, but what's your deal with umpires? Until one day, that we had a tournament in Linwood, and I ran into traffic, or whatever the deal was. I'm about 25 minutes late. Well, we can't be having that, because we got to get, you know, teams going. We're on a time limit, and Roger's not making money if guys aren't out there playing softball. So I showed up, and I'm running in, and here's Roger in a pair of thongs and shorts, and it's about 25 degrees in Linwood. And he's standing there, and there's mud all over the place. And I come walking up, and to this day, if I could do it again, I would have stopped. And I would have hid in the dugout and watched. But I came running up there, and he looks at me, and I swear to God, I don't know how I didn't get kissed. He looked at me, he was as happy to see me as anybody on the face of the planet. To this day, I said, Roger, you don't hate umpires, you love us, so don't get on our case like that. I've never seen a guy happier to see an umpire in my entire life.
That was the last time.
Yeah, well, but you loved me that day. Once I got to Seattle, some of the highlights of it, and I mean, if it happened on a softball field, I saw it, okay? I saw a gal get thrown out at first base from deep left field. I saw a guy at the the 95 Major World Series, hit a softball over a light standard that was 420 feet away. The light standards were 60 feet high, and the ball was going up when it went over it. I've seen some incredible things. Some of the things that stand out, for a couple of years I did the Women's League at Green Lake, and that was softcore porn for 3.5 hours. Finally had to tell Dale I can't take that anymore, please take me off that. I'm not kidding. Dad sent me to Ferndale one weekend. I go up to Ferndale, and for all you umpires out there, you know, for the players you may not, when you show up as an umpire, they give you the list. Okay, you're on field 2, you have 4 games in a row, you have a break, then you come back at 3, you have 3 in a row, and then you're home, and we'll see you tomorrow. Typically, that's the schedule looks something like that. Okay, so I show up at Ferndale, and the guy goes, "Oh, you're the guy from Seattle." Yeah, where's my schedule? "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "Well, you know, how many games do I got? Where's my break? Where am I going?" He goes, "Oh, you see that out there? And there's a little crappy little backstop, portable backstop. It's about 8 acres away." And he goes, "You just go out there." And I go, "Well, how many do I have?" "You just keep umping until they don't show up anymore." Okay, that's all right. So I do 9 games in a row. It's about 108 in Ferndale. And the very last game I do, game number 9, here comes an old guy. It was a women's tournament. Here comes an old guy, and he plops the lawn chair this far behind the chain link backstop. And it was an old portable backstop, so he's from me to the pitcher. And he sits there the entire game, and he chirps from the first inning, "You're horrible. I can't believe why did they send you up?" And he was, "What are you going to do?" He's an old guy, "Where am I going to throw him?" And the entire day. So I get done, I'm hot, I'm sunburned, I'm tired. The guy's folding up his lawn chair, and I look at him and go, "Was that really necessary?" He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. That's what I do." I just come out and give guys crap. You were the guy that made decided to pick on the game. Okay. Yay for me. So, I used to work for a while in Issaquah for a couple of years, and I do the men's leagues out at Issaquah. So I'm out there one game, and there's a tavern team out there, and they're going head to head, and it's neck and neck, and there's 100 runs being scored. It's about the 5th inning, and one team is they're ahead by about 5. The other guy's got bases loaded. One guy hits a fly ball into the gap between the right fielder and the right center fielder, and they're going beeline to each other. They both stop. They don't want to run into each other. Ball lands, goes to the fence. Guys are running around, people scoring. By the time the dust settles, they're behind by a run. Time out, let's gather our gear. Okay, here we go. Go ahead and pitch. All of a sudden I hear cursing. "You're an idiot. I can't believe I play with you. You suck. You're horrible." Mitts go down. There's a full-out fist fight. Well, it's 2 brothers, the right fielder and the right center fielder, and they're fighting each other. And I'm standing there going, "Well, this is something else." The guy from the other team comes up and goes, "Oh, what are you going to do?" I said, "What do you want me to do?" Let's hope one guy wins and it's their own team. You're going to go out there and get in the middle of that. It's kind of funny, don't you think? And besides, we're on a time limit. So I saw 2 twins beat each other up. That was kind of comical. Then, of course, when I went to the Men's Major World Series in '95, that was, that was kind of the pinnacle of what we all kind of strive for. And I remember standing there on the first base line in between innings. It was the last game. It was an if game. One team was getting killed. And I remember standing there thinking about all the times and all the memories I'd had leading up to that, and all the people that had helped me get there, and thought that was, it's probably not going to get any better than that. And it didn't after that. And so I just want to close by saying that for the 29 plus years that I played and that I was on the softball field as an umpire, I couldn't be any more proud or any more honored to have it culminate here tonight with everybody that I see out here. A lot of you guys have umpired your games, or I've played with you, and it's just phenomenal to me that I got elected to this position, because for me it was mostly about the people. And without that, softball really isn't anything. And you know, I have friendships now with people that I don't talk to for a year or two, and when you see them again, it's like you talked to them yesterday. And that to me is what makes the softball experience for me really special. So thank you all. Thank you, Kevin, for your
All right, our next inductee is in the executive special category. It's Callie Goldsby. Callie first got involved with USSSA Washington when she joined a mixed league through her work in 1995. Through the years, she has played on some of the better women's and mixed teams in the Northwest. When she first got involved in USSSA, she took on the challenge of developing a website for the Thurston County Softball Association and transform the way people received information pertaining to leagues, tournaments, etc., standings. In 1998, Callie agreed to take over the USSSA Washington State office website. And in 2002, she redesigned the website and developed a database system to track teams, tournaments, points, reports, and other functions. In 2005, she moved that website, USSSAWA.com, from the office to the web where we use it today, and redesigns and updates it every year. Truly, Washington State softball, USSSA, would not be where we are today without her efforts. Here to introduce Callie is Roger Wilson.
This is going to be fairly quick, because like usual, the umpires put us behind schedule. Some things don't change. I did have a whole speech here, but Paul just covered the whole darn thing. So, I want to congratulate all the inductees tonight. It's a great honor to be inducted into this Hall of Fame, and all of you that are sitting out there that were inducted in the past. Again, I thank you for your involvement and congratulate you. It's my pleasure and honor to speak to you about Callie's involvement and achievements within Washington USSSA. But first, I'd like to introduce her family to you. Her husband, Grant, has been her best friend and high school sweetheart. Her father-in-law, Don Goldsby, and her sister-in-law, Jamie Goldsby, are all sitting here with her. Along with these, there are a number of her past teammates that are here with us tonight. And for Callie, I thank you for being part of this special night, honoring her involvement in USSSA. Callie began her career as a player in 1994. And then her father-in-law, Don, who was a member of the Washington USSSA Executive Board, the regional director for all of Southwest Washington, boy, I can't even read. Got her to come aboard the Thurston County Softball Association. She constructed the website that they used. In 1999, she heard that our state office was wallowing in our lack of technical expertise. Did I do that okay, Stan? We were a bunch of old guys that ran by the old book. We didn't get along with new technology much. Some of that hasn't changed very much. She became the webmaster of our website, which was definitely an infantile phase. She was the driving force that took us where we are today on the internet. She created the message board, which became the main tool that was used by our office and tournament directors throughout the state. Back in the 90s, a TD would have to give a phone call to every coach to give him or her team their first game time. On some weekends, Nooser and I sat around and made 100 phone calls. With the advent of the message board, we no longer made a phone call. She created the tournament advertising portion of our website, which allows teams to enter tournaments by posting their desire to do so. Over time, she set our office and website up to use PayPal, which has become the main way that our teams pay for and enter our postseason tournaments. She has completely redesigned our website at least twice to keep us current with the changes that the players and teams have come to expect from Washington USSSA. As a member of our executive board for over 30 years, I can honestly say that without Callie's help and guidance, Washington USSSA would not be the #1 amateur sports association in Washington that it is today. A quote from her father-in-law, Don: "She is truly a wonderful person who values friendships and loyalty above all else. She has always believed in and practiced the fundamentals of Washington USSSA. Since Callie has come into my life, I have never heard her say a bad word about anyone." From her husband, Grant: "I thought being married to the webmaster would come with some softball perks. 8 a.m. starts were not one of them." Seriously, I'm very proud of Callie for the countless hours she has spent supporting USSSA. It's great to see this association recognize her efforts and dedication with this award tonight. It's my honor to introduce you to the next member of the Washington USSSA Hall of Fame, Callie Goldsby.
Thank you, Roger. So in true techno geek form, I've got my speech on my device. So first I want to say how honored I am to be inducted into the Washington USSSA Hall of Fame. This is an incredible honor that I'm so proud to be part of. In 1998, when I made my first trip up to the state office, I remember seeing all of the pictures on the walls of many of you previous Hall of Famers. I remember thinking, someday that would be pretty cool to be on this wall. So maybe I'm going to reach that goal. Seems like today. I got my start playing slow pitch softball in 1995 after I graduated high school. Yeah, I'm still pretty young. Where I was a competitive fast pitch player and had to convert over to slow pitch. Let's just say it took a little bit of time to figure out how to stop pulling the damn ball to the shortstop and getting out several times those first couple seasons. On the softball fields playing USSSA League is where I met my husband Grant and my father-in-law Don Goldsby. They were both very involved in softball and USSSA, Thurston County Softball, and Don, of course, like was said earlier, regional director. When Grant and I moved away and went to college, we played on various teams together, often traveling back every weekend that we could to play softball. Every free moment we had, we were always playing or talking about the game. Softball was a way of life for us, and everything we did and everything we could do was to be involved in playing, being part of classification committees, playing every night as possible, picking up on games, and playing every weekend. Over the years, Grant and I played for many successful teams, both mixed, and I played on many successful women's teams. I've been to many state, national, and world tournaments, and I even got the opportunity to play a world tournament during a hurricane, where we got to play one-pitch, 30-minute games. And my team actually took fourth that year, and we ended a game in 3 innings, 15 minutes. First inning we had 10 runs, and then it was like done, so pretty cool. I can honestly say that I've met some of my best friends playing on the fields as teammates and rivals. The relationships I've formed certainly done me well and will last me a lifetime. The phrases like shake and bake, take you to the woodshed, and so young, so angry are some that I know a few of us will always remember. Well, now that you know my history as a player, let's just reflect on the true reason I'm being inducted. Certainly for my nerdy skills. In '98, after running the Thurston County Softball Association website for a couple of years, my father-in-law Don introduced me to Dick Calvo and Roger Wilson. He got me connected with them to discuss how I could help the state office take Washington USSSA to the next level. After that first meeting, we decided to move forward and I became the USSSA Washington webmaster. I remember that first meeting that I had with Dick and Roger up at the storied state conferences that we don't necessarily have anymore, right? So neither Dick or Roger, imagine this, they didn't know really much about the internet at the time. But they really wanted to know, well, they know quite a bit now, old Roger does. They wanted Washington USSSA to jump on the bandwagon, to be the best place out there and a place for players and coaches to find information about our game, about tournaments, about leagues, about rules, all that great stuff. And they wanted to have a way to do it that made us stand out from others. So that began my journey with USSSA.WA.com. Over the past 17 years, there have been lots of ups and downs with our website. Each year, adding new functionality, taking another step towards improving access for information for players and coaches, connecting people through the message board and making it easier for people to pay for their registrations. All while trying to keep those pesky spammers and hackers off of our servers. Over the course of those 17 years, I've had over 11,000 emails pass through my inbox. Emails generated from the website, emails to and from the state office, many of those emails between me and Patty, emails that have come from players that need assistance with the message board, and just emails of players saying, hey, how do I find out more information? I worked really closely with Dick and Roger over the years. Tim Tiny, I haven't seen him here tonight. Joe Uha, Patty DeVore, Dale McGregor, and many of the other tournament and program directors in the program. In the early days, I remember staying up all hours of the night, working and updating the website, long after Grant had already gone to bed, thinking just a few more hours and I can get this thing done. I remember one night, pretty distinctly in 2005, before the launch of a new version of the website where we took the database from the state office and moved it up into the cloud. Well, my computer crashed on me that night. There were many tears shed over the stress of hours I put into that work, but thankfully my husband, he came to the rescue, was able to recover my computer. You see, he's the hardware guy, and I'm just the dingling that forgot to hit the save button. My husband has been an amazing support system for me, always cheering me on and letting me bounce ideas off of him. He's had a lot of ideas over the years that I said, yeah, that will never work. And many that we put in place and have worked well. I'm truly blessed to have had his support over the past 17 years. Over the last 10 years, we've had over 13,000 unique teams entered into our system, over 30,000 registration records entered, 6,000 plus tournaments, all with results that have had to been entered by the state office. There's currently over 6,300 active members on our message board. And pretty much on a daily basis, I deal with protecting the website and message board from spammers and hackers. And boy, they are a pain in my ass. In 2009, our beautiful daughter Delaney was born. I knew then that our lives would certainly change forever. I put my playing career on hold until this past summer. And my late nights have been filled with caring for her instead of programming the website. Like all things in life, change is good, and with constant changes in technology, the website will continue to get better and better. I hope to retire as the webmaster over the next year, hopefully turning over the reins to someone more nerdy than me to take the website to the next level. I'm so thankful for what I've been able to accomplish for the state office, both technically and as a player representing the best sports association in state and national. Thank you to my friends and family for being here to support me tonight. Thank you to the state office for all the years, all the fun times and frustrations and good times. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. I'm truly blessed to be part of this organization, and it's been a great 17 years. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, at this time, going to have some special awards presented by Dale and by Roger.
Get up here, Dale. It's my pleasure, and with some regret, this is the second year in a row I've announced the retirement of somebody that was so important within our association. This man has been with Washington USSSA since almost the beginning in 1979. It's Joe Yuha. Joe was one of the original umpires in our association, and while he was still active in umpiring, he worked at all levels of play, including numerous state, national, and world championships. He traveled throughout the country to over 25 national conventions. He's been the tournament director of over 400 tournaments, which include many state and national championships. He has been, did I already say that? He's been the backbone of our state office and a mentor of many of our directors, including myself. He brought me on board with USSSA back in 1981 as a tournament director, and later supported me for the position of men's program director. Joe was the original founder of our Hall of Fame, was the individual that took the thought of a Hall of Fame to its inception in 1993. He was inducted into the Washington Hall of Fame in the executive category the following year in 1994. Over the years, he has been the guiding force behind all of the little things that need to be taken care of to make any event a success. He has gone unnoticed to many, but appreciated by anyone that has worked with him throughout his career. For all of the directors, players, and coaches that have been a part of his life, I thank Joe for his friendship, his dedication to USSSA, and his continued support for all we do. It's like getting a plaque or a ring or anything. Hopefully it means something. It's fairly insignificant, but to us, it says Joe Yuha in recognition of your 34 years of dedicated service to Washington USSSA with our sincere respect and thanks. Joe, please come up here.
I know a bunch of you people. I recognize a bunch. This may be one of the last meetings I'll attend, but it's in Roger's terms. To each and every one of you, Dale, all my friends, it's been one hell of a ride. Thank you.
Before I give out the next award, I just want to let all the inductees that are going in tonight to make sure at the end of the conclusion of the banquet that you come up front here. We need to get a group picture. Also, at the conclusion of tonight's banquet, we will be announcing the winners from this year that will be inducted here next year. We'll let you all know that next year's banquet will be January 30th, because this weekend next year we'll all be watching the Seahawks playing in the Super Bowl. And couldn't do it the following weekend again because that's going to be Valentine's weekend. So we ended up moving it up to the 30th of January. So I started my career back in the late 80s, or late 70s, ASA. And I was one of these gung-ho umpires, was out working every place I could go work, and I'd run into this same person and get a break, I'd go over and watch him, and I was so impressed with this person, and I said, man, I would go home and tell my wife, I said, boy, I wish someday I could be as good as this guy. He ended up leaving ASA and being one of the first umpires to start USSSA. In 1980, there was 7 of them that left ASA and got USSSA going, and has been 35 years working for USSSA. Came to me last year, and we're still trying to get him to come out and do a few more games, but he said it's time to hang it up. And Eddie Haugen, as you all know, probably every weekend you saw him out there. 3 to 4 or 5 nights a week he was out there. Even this last year, he very seldom missed a weekend. If I didn't put him on a crew on the weekend, he'd call me, what did I do wrong? And every time I'd see him, he'd call me, hey boss. I said, hey, I'm not your boss, man. I looked up to this man my whole career. One of the greatest umpires and the most even guys that you could ever meet out there. Got a little pocket pair for you, Eddie. What it is appreciation working for USSSA from 1980 to 2015. 35 years.
Well, I knew it was time to quit.
Not yet.
Oh. No, I could probably work a couple more years, but I got a new grandson. I'm going to spend some time with him. And I knew it was about time to quit when I was working Monday night celebration. They got a seniors league. And I see Jack Orweiler and Joe Marchese and Steve Layton out there, and I had them when they were playing the upper level stuff, and I says, no, I'm giving it up. I've had enough. But I enjoyed it. I hope I haven't made too many enemies out there. I just had a good time. And that's what you have to do if you want to enjoy yourself out there. Thank you very much.
Just to add real quick to what Dale said, as far as the inductees to get a picture, we'd like you to be right over here by this banner so we get a picture of you in front of that. One other quick announcement. This November, there's going to be another member of Washington State going into the National Hall of Fame. We were able to find out at the national meeting last November that this next year in Temecula, California, that Roger Wilson will be inducted into the National Hall of Fame. Hopefully, many of you will be able to get down there and be there for that induction ceremony. Our next inductee tonight is in the female player category, Barbara Borden. Barbara started playing fast pitch softball as a young girl in Texas. Her family moved to Washington while she was in middle school, where she was introduced to the slow pitch game. After playing on several recreational teams, she joined the Jade Softball Club and later the Seattle Express Softball Club, winning multiple state titles and competing at many A and B World Championships, highlighted by winning the A World Championships in 2005 with Seattle Express. She's very proud of her ring and the many friendships she has built through softball. Here to introduce Barbara is Reiko Frank.
All right, before I start, Double D, the silver fox lives. Most of what I was going to start with, Paul already talked about. Barb was born in Texas. She moved up here and went to White River High School, where she played catcher and outfield, and then she went to Green River and did the same. Her early adult years, she played for Freedom Class Cement, Pegasus, Bulletproof, later on Team Extreme, Seattle Express, Every Girls Combat, Sticks, and most recently Sniper Sports Bar. I met Barb Memorial Day weekend 1999 in Port Angeles, and you guys who are ball players know all about that. She was on my team and we just clicked as friends. I ended up playing on Bulletproof with her that year thanks to Chrissy Dow. And from then we went to 2001. We played for Case Construction. We were managed by Russ Christensen, Al Medley, and Al Chalker. That year Worlds was in Lubbock, Texas, and it was right after 9/11. It was pretty eerie. Empty planes, all that. But we made it down there and we ended up winning the whole thing. It was a pretty special time. We knew after that we were going to get reclassed to A, no place else to go. So in 2002, we got the Express group back together. We played for Al Medley and Al Chalker. We came in 3rd place in Cocoa Beach. In 2003, we went to South Carolina. I think 17 teams in that tournament. Lost the first game, won the next 7, and lost the 8th game. It was quite a ride, and we did really well. In 2005 was the last year that they did the Women's A World away from everybody. We were at Panama City Beach, Florida, and we won that tournament. We went through the winners, I believe, and went to the 8th game and won it. The eerie thing about that World Tournament was that it was the weekend right at Hurricane Katrina. Airports were pretty crazy, and the scary thing that I can come up with is that when there's a hurricane or some national disaster like 9/11, for some reason we win tournaments. It's kind of scary. In addition, Barb's played in mixed worlds. She's played in the 35 and over worlds. And she's played alongside many Hall of Famers already, like Cecily Coulson, Natalie Wong, Chrissy Dow Russell, Kathy McIntyre, Floyd Plum, Joe Fukuma, and myself. And I've got some fun facts about Barb I want to tell you guys. If you see Barb on the field, she's always wearing the number 17. She likes Nike. And from our days of living together, she does not eat leftovers, so that was a score for me. She always has her nails done. I see you laughing on the couch. And because of that, she can throw a pretty decent knuckleball. That helps. And are you going to be in the bar after?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, Barb's favorite drink, everybody, is a Corona in a glass with extra lime, so help her out. I remember one of the many batting practices we had. Al Medley was always helping me with my hitting. And he said to me, Ray, describe to me your perfect swing or at bat. And I said, well, first I'd have Natalie's power. Second of all, I had Cecily Coulson's smarts and discipline at the plate. And my swing would be like Barb's. Barb's got a beautiful swing. And I've taken enough BP with her that I know what her swing looks like. I'd probably be 100 yards away and I can tell it's her. Back in the early days, we used to go to Hindu's Ball Yard. And Barb and I would just get a tunnel and she would pitch to me. Poor Barb didn't get to hit because I can't pitch a lick. But she's always willing to help me with my game. I'll be up there, she'll pitch to me, and I'll go down and get one and just pop it in. She's like, you just gotta go down and get it. You gotta go down and get it, Rumi. And if she pitches me a fat pitch and I let it go by, she knows why, because I won't hit back at her. I'm not really sure how Barb and I became such good friends. We met at a time when our personal lives mirrored each other's. We had a common love of sports. Maybe we were opposites because I love Adidas and she loves Nike. But whatever it was that brought us together as teammates has made us friends for years and years to come. And for that I'm thankful, and I do love you. I want to thank Barb for the honor of being her Hall of Fame induction speaker and being a part of this event honoring her and the other inductees, and for the people who came on her behalf. And at this time, I'd like to introduce to you the 2014 USSSA Washington Hall of Fame in the female player category, my friend, longtime teammate, and roomie, Barb Morgan.
I guess I don't need to give a speech. speech now because she pretty much covered all of mine. Thank you to Reiko. Obviously, as you know, she is a current member. She's been a roommate, longtime teammate, and most of all, a very, very good friend. So thank you for that. As for those of you who know me on the softball field, most of you guys know I am not one of too many words. But I do believe that actions and results are the truth for the words of determination. The most impactful words that have come during a huddle at the mound to discuss strategy, and of course the horrible clothing attire of some of the opposing teammates. And then perhaps there's a few inspirational words that have come with a particular shocking mouth-to-mouth gum exchange between players to bring down the stress level and motivation. Just saying, take a number. Anyway, a world championship game that we did win. A lot of fun. My successes, to earn the selection to the Washington State Hall of Fame, it's come with a lot of sacrifices and a lot of hard work. Most of it's been a whole lot of fun, that's for sure. I know that I join so many amazing individuals that have amazing statistics. While on paper, I'm not a statistical leader. That's not my role. Every winning, successful team must have a quiet leader who's willing to challenge everybody to succeed. That's my role, to teach, to learn, to better everyone for being the best that I can be. My successes can be attributed to so many people around me, the Fab Four, Fab Five, Reiko, Kathy, Joyce, who's not here, occasionally Marie. Those of us, every single Wednesday, we've hit for years upon years. Along with that, yes, I didn't hit, because there's nobody to pitch. But with that, besides that, I'll tell you the most constructive teacher in hitting I've had, Mike Olson. Probably the most I've ever been. I've spent hours upon hours of repetition hitting with Don Wilson. Amazing. It's all about learned body. You can do that. Every Saturday, every single Saturday, practice with the most inspiring coaches. Al Medley, Al Jocker, who's here, Edgar Colon. All of those who motivate all of us to be the best that we can be as a team. I'd like to give special thanks to Al Medley. He's influenced the part of my softball career. He's given me the means to motivate, encourage, and most of all, to believe in my own talent. He's that kind of motivator. In closing, thank you for all the support and assurance that my family, teammates, and friends, of course, and the one who says he's a fan of Barbies. It's an honor to be here, join the selected group of individuals who share an accolade as the Hall of Fame member. I am grateful, as so many of those members have been teammates over the course of the years, and definitely are friends, so thank you. I appreciate the honor.
Our next inductee is in the male player category, Chris Breer. Chris first played USSSA softball in 1996 when he played for a men's D team while Gallagher's, Q, and Cushion. They won the men's D state championship that year. Over the next 14 years, he played in 10 more state championships, winning 7 more titles. 2 at the D level, 1 at the C level, and 4 at the B level. He was named in numerous all-tournament teams and was awarded the MVP of the 1999 state championships. In 2009, he reached his goal of winning a world title and a ring by becoming part of the World Championship GTL team. He was also on 4 all-tournament teams at the major level, was on the B All-World team in 2007, and was awarded the MVP of the Mike Davis Memorial in 2009. His credentials speak for themselves. Here to introduce Chris is Kermit Strickland.
Thanks. Mr. Christopher Ryan Breer. My teammate, my friend, my brother, excuse me. I felt honored when the Rat asked me to introduce him to the Hall of Fame. I can't emphasize enough how softball has been such a powerful vehicle for the maturation of my manhood. I can remember the day when, excuse me and the Rat was rivals, and he used to take forever to get in the batter's box. He used to dig in with his bat, take a couple extra swings. I think I would probably yell at him, call him Buck Tube for Benjamin Buttons or something. And I'm pretty sure he would yell back at me and call me like Fat Albert or something worse. But the unfair part about it, what I didn't know until later, was that, like, I think his brother was the pitcher. He had a couple brothers in the outfield. It was like a gang of Breers that used to team back up on me after I used to talk crap about him. But the most intimidating person of it all was, I think, the mom. She used to keep the scorebook, and she had kind of a raspy voice, and she used to say, "Don't talk about my baby. Don't talk about my baby boy." So I was like, shit, I was intimidated by the time I left the bar, especially when we played in Tacoma. I was kind of nervous leaving in. But anyway, he's been a good friend to me, man. I love him like a brother. Here we are today, and you know, him and I probably text and talk almost daily. And you know, we were once rivals, and now, you know, I look at him as like my little brother. You know, and I can genuinely say I love him. You know, I come from a family where I barely tell my father I love him, but I can tell the Rat that I love him. So I could go on bragging about his softball accomplishments, but I think you covered it pretty well. Or you guys can talk about it at the bar or whatever. But what I'm most proud of is the man that Chris Breer has become. When we used to play together, he used to quote Frederick Douglass, and he would say, "Without struggle, there's no progress." And you know, when we was like a C team or whatever, and we was getting our teeth kicked in by some of these older guys, we had to understand that, you know, there's some struggle that's gonna go on, or you're gonna lose some games in order to be able to succeed later. So, you know, that was kind of our mantra, you know, without struggle, understand that there's no progress. But Chris Breer's taking that on as a man, you know, not softball. So there's been some personal setbacks in his life, and I'm just so proud. You know, he's held through adversity and the struggle, and learned that there's progress. And I've watched him now become a guy who takes his kids to feed the homeless. He coaches Emma's softball and soccer team, and Miss Ryan, I heard, has got a sweet jump shot due to him. And he's a supporting uncle of his nieces and nephews that are now going to college, from what I hear. And I didn't want to introduce just a man, Chris Breer, the softball player. I wanted to introduce, and proud to say, that Chris Breer, the man, is going into the Hall of Fame. So I want to congratulate you. I'm proud of you. I love you. Chris Breer, congratulations on going into the Hall of Fame.
Well, I don't know if I got to say anything, but first off, I'm a mama's boy, not a secret. My mom's here, and so she celebrated her birthday yesterday. She's 64 years young, and she works harder than I ever dreamed I could, so I just want to say happy birthday to my mom before we start. This whole process is pretty flattering, pretty humbling, you know, and a little uncomfortable. I'm probably the first guy ever to get inducted into this that's actually younger than the association itself. But while preparing for this speech, you know, it allowed me to reflect and look back and think about the things that I had gone through and things that I experienced. And you know, I stand up here and I know that all the successes is what allowed me to get noticed and recognized and so on and so forth, but it's truly the journey and the people that made it so special and the things that'll carry on forever. You know, I could sit here and I had many reflections of games and things, and we could tell stories all night. I got a Rain Man memory when it comes to softball. And I could sit here and tell you about Cruiser and the first time we left state. And it was the first major we played in out of state, and good old mighty Rismondo. They were, boy, we didn't know much of anything. So I led off with literally a bunt single, a ball that rolled over onto the shortstop and ran out. And Jurgen proceeds to go up there and hit a ball off Andy Purcell's leg that flew out to right field. The funny part about all of that is he got to second base running hard and was scared to look up because I'm all of 5'9" and 180 pounds. He's not much taller, even though he's fatter. But he's continually looked at his shoes for all of about 30 seconds while Rusty tried telling him good hit, but he was scared to look up because he thought he got Nugo just killed. But we moved on. We got destroyed that game. I think it lasted 3 innings. But it comes with growth. You know, Earl's froggy that. I think that ball literally hit the scoreboard, not the scoreboard, but the scoreboard pub. It never came down. And we just grew from that stuff, you know. We always fought hard, and it never gave up. And I remember one of the last times I played with my brothers before we went our separate ways was we were playing at Sarah, and we were 1 out from getting run ruled, and we weren't scared to cheat when the umpire was looking the other way. So our brother Joy left early. It wasn't a secret. It's what we did. He beat out a routine ground ball to second after we were down 15 with 2 outs and about to get run ruled, and by him stealing that extra out, we proceeded to run off 30 straight, leave him standing on the field. So that was I could still see the left fielder's face standing there staring at the field like what just happened. But those were the games, and those weren't anything, it just kept going. Really, it was all about the people. You know, I don't know if it's long, I don't know if it's anything that felt long. I feel old sometimes when I think about softball, but I started my first game when I was 15, thanks to Mr. Scott Mahan. You know, I just started playing just because I wanted to be around my brothers. They were my role models, they were who I followed, I just wanted to be around my brothers. And Scott was the first guy to stand up and say, why add an extra player? Just let Chipper play, we'll call it good. Well, that's when I was 15 and 16, and thanks to my brother Rick, I almost didn't see 17. First time I ever left this state, we went to Triple Crown Worlds, and I know it's not USSSA, but it is what it is. And we're playing a U-Trip AA team. I had no clue it's anything. I'm not looking up on softball. I'm 15. So my brother's great advice was play even with the bag. There's less hops. Okay, sounds good to me. So this guy hit a ball that literally caught me. I had to look at my glove to see if it was there. Picked it up, threw him out to first. He had left the box, and this, I don't know, I can't tell you. He was probably 6'4", about 280 pounds of straight steroids. He threw his bat into their dugout and said, I'm gonna kill that little effer. The scary part was, he was dead serious. So that was a scary moment for me as a little kid. But from there, it progressed fastly. We won the state tournament the first time I ever played in it, and I was fortunate to have a lot of successes and moving on forward with that stuff. With success came expectation, and if you can imagine getting expectations from people you look up to when you're 17 and 18 years old, it grows you mentally real quick. You know, especially when my biggest critic was my brother who pitched, and it's a safety hazard, but he felt like I could catch every ball that came off the bat, regardless of where it was, and if I didn't get to it, he was willing to tell me about it. So we moved forward after that. We parted ways with my brothers for the first time. I had my comfort zone, and in 2000 I went and played with Centerline, and I got a cold call from Earl, who I still, to this day, have no clue how he got my phone number. But we moved forward. I went and finished the year with them, and we won another state title, and it was fantastic to do that. And then came Kerm and the Gatorline crew, and with a lot more people. And the scary part was now I had left my comfort. My brothers were no longer around, you know. Kerm said I like to quote things. I'm not scared to throw a quote out there. So one of my favorite quotes is, growth begins when our comfort ends. So I left my comfort and my growth began to take off, and it was a very, very fun ride. So, you know, with Centerline it was a little easy. You know, I've known D Money over there since I was 7 years old, and he was on that team. So there was a comfort level with that, and we were just a bunch of little kids just drinking beer and playing softball. So it was simple, and we had Mike Bryan around as Papa Smurf, and we just kept going about our day. Kerm had some vision that led a lot of successes for a lot of people. You know, he thought that, wow, when I was growing up, we played Washington softball, we thought the state tournament was where it was at, it's where it ended, it's winning worlds was never a thought process, even a microcosm, anything, you don't think about it. Kerm didn't believe that, so he got together and started drawing on napkins and created some stuff. We had a cast of characters from everywhere. We had Jay Hart coming from Williams Mechanical, and the only thing I remember is that team sucked. How can this guy be any good? You know, and he turned out to do everything we could possibly ask. And it was such a wonderful experience with that group, because there was no me, there was no you, it was just us, and we sacrificed everything for each other. More quotes. The back of that first sweatshirt we ever had said, coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. And we truly grew as a group, and we accomplished some great things. We were the first men's B team ever to qualify for the Men's Major World Series, and that was a true accomplishment, and we might not have did it if Kerm didn't have such a big ego when the mountaintop guy tried telling him we weren't good enough to take the berth. So we did, and he was right. We went and got destroyed on a couple of levels, but it was a wonderful experience to walk out into that stadium and play on that field and that level. And I was fortunate to do it again, to the aspect of I had a pause the second time we went down there, because I had a good weekend that weekend, and they keep those stats forever. And so the next time we went down there, I had another good weekend, and they announced every game, and it's never, ever been about batting averages and anything. I just wanted to win. I didn't care. But I had a pause and stepped back when the announcer said, you know, now batting Chris Breer with an amazing 787 batting average in the World Series history. And it was just funny to me, because I'm just a 5'9" guy with bad teeth and scrawny, and, you know, there's no talent in the world. You know, I just worked hard. That's all it was about. You know, so I don't know why I even have the speech. We're just kind of winging it right now. You know, so truly it was about the people, and we kept moving forward, and it was about the memories off the field as much as any of the memories on the field. You know, I got an education. We went to Auburn, Alabama the first time, and Kerm came driving the rental car as I'm in the bushes shagging BP balls, because Danny V and Orm decided it was home run derby and they were going to hit all the balls over the fence so none of the rest of us could hit. But, so Kerm comes driving up in the rental car, and I'm thinking, this fat, lazy, you know, whatever, why didn't he just walk over here? He said, dude, you got to get out of the bushes. Why? Well, there's water moccasins in there. I know nothing about a water moccasin. I was thinking about slippers. You know? So I looked at him and said, what the hell is that? He said, it's a snake and it will kill you. Okay. So I guess we were done with the BP balls then. You know, we had chin-up contests while we were drunk in Muncie, Indiana. I mean, I still remember holding on to Clayton Dijon like a little schoolgirl as we were riding the rides in Old Town in Kissimmee, you know, because I was terrified, but I didn't want anybody to know. These bonds and these things are truly the rewards. I have rings and I've been accomplished, and it's been fantastic to experience those things, but I have friends here that I see once a year at these banquets now that my friends have started to be getting inducted, and it's truly wonderful to come see them, whether it's once a year, whether it's discuss it with them, whether it's, you know, it's just great to see those guys, and we have a bond that will carry on for the rest of my life and the rest of their lives. And and it's truly something special. My two best friends in this world, you know, both sit in this room, and Earl McWright is one of them, and he's become family like me. He celebrates every holiday. His family comes over to everything. They're like family to us. You know, his kids look at my kids and say they're cousins, and they don't know any better. You know, and of course, like Kern said, there's not many days we go by without talking. You know, we talk about everything. It used to be softball, but now it's life, you know, and we talk about how God's timing is everything, and He's got a plan for you, and just live it, and just enjoy things. And, you know, so he talked about personal setbacks, and boy, I don't know where I'd have been without him. There were some rough times in there, and it was fantastic to be able to call this dude and just let him talk me through things and whatever. And, you know, the best part about that whole thing is I get the age-old joke of, no, it's cool, my best friend's black. So I can move on with that stuff, and I always got that excuse for everything. You know, I got guys in this room that have inspired me in certain ways, and they don't know any better. You know, they just think that we were playing ball, and I look around the room and I see guys that made all this possible. You know, Emmett Dobbs is here today, and he's paid the last 2 years, but never shown up. And he was the last guy I texted on my way here and told him he better be getting his old butt dressed. And to his credit, he told me he had his diaper on and he was ready to go. Tony Colagrudi's sitting over here in the corner, and Tony's got some stories for you. You talk about story time. It's story time with Uncle Tony. But he truly is a legend in Tacoma, and he's got some racing stories to tell you. You know, I got Matt Painter sitting over here, who Matt's an introvert, so it's real special just to see this guy here and come support me in this manner. You know, DV, people looked at DV and just thought he was a good hitter. Well, he helped pay the bills too. So, you know, it's truly special in the things we got to experience, and, you know, we grew together, and it was something real special, and the things we got to go through, and guys I was able to play next to that inspired me in so many ways. You know, I stood 10 feet from Harry O while his shoulder popped out, and only to have him roll over and pop it right back in. I was thinking, that's one tough son. And I asked him if he was okay as we walked in the dugout, and he said, yeah, I'm good. I just can't lift my arm above my shoulder. My first thought was, what about the line drive at your head? But he didn't miss a pitch, didn't miss a beat. You know, so to all these guys who helped me grow, and it's such a beautiful thing to play this game at a young age, because it helped shape me as a man, and it truly, truly is something special to me. You know, to all these guys that I called teammates and friends and supportive, I just want to say thank you. You know, to everybody that came out to take the time to support me in this endeavor and show me that it's meaningful to them as well. You know, I want to say thank you. And to my family, who has always been there through everything in this world, and I always know that they got everything for me. They taught me how to work hard and everything, and taught me the truth of perseverance, and how making me understand that if it's not your best, it's not good enough. You know, they talk about 96, when I first played my first year. I'll never forget, he probably doesn't even remember, when we went to nationals, and I think we took 7th or 9th or something like that out of 60 or 70 teams, and the first thing my brother told me was, it's your fault we didn't win. I was thinking, huh? I had a decent weekend. It wasn't great, but I had a decent weekend. He said, you hit 800 for the month of August. We expect you to hit 800 this weekend too. Okay, well, the expectation levels were raised, and I'll take onus on that. So to come full circle and talk about the people and understand God's timing and how appreciative I am of this is the people brought me into this game to play with my brothers, and the people brought me out of this game as well. My mom always told me, play till they ripped that uniform off. And at 25, 26, 27, I thought that was going to be the case. But after winning Worlds in 2009, my world flipped upside down when I got home. And so God's timing told me that you said you wanted to win a ring, and there it is, and now we're going to be done with it. So it was time to be less time being rat and more time being daddy. So It was, I walked away, played a couple of years with Adam Russell, dealing with me getting drunk in the dugout for fun, even though their team had a no drinking policy, and I'll always love Rusty for that. Like Herm said, you know, I coach soccer. I know nothing about soccer. It's something I had to learn. I thought soccer was for girls, and it's not American. But I coach it somehow, some way now. And I coach fast pitch and work with my kids, and I truly enjoy the time doing homework and eating dinner and watching them sing and things of that nature. So to Emma and Ryan, I want to say thank you for always allowing me to be daddy and never ripping that jersey off. So I thank you for all spending the time with me, listen to rant and ramble, and it's truly emotional for me because this game has meant so much. And I'm honored to be a Hall of Famer and be considered with so many special people. And I just want to say thank you for listening to me, and thank you for a special night to you, USSSA. And truly, truly, I feel blessed and feel honored. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Our next inductee is in the male player category, Mr. Greg Bruns. Greg began his involvement with USSSA in the early 1980s. He's played alongside 20 of the current 45 male players in the USSSA Hall of Fame. He's received multiple All-Star awards and tournament MVPs. Greg was best known for his sparkling defensive play at shortstop, but his abilities allowed him to play wherever his team needed him, whether it be in the infield or the outfield. His team won the men's A-State twice, along with a B-State title with Softball Express. One of his most memorable games was in 1993 when Steel Sports came to town for the Seattle Major, and Greg's team beat them when no one gave him a chance. And he had a career batting average of over 600. Here to introduce Greg Bruns is Robin LaFoon. Thank you.
Just want to start off, I'm only here because I might get fined. Anyways, I first met Greg and Cindy, his lovely wife, at Herfy's, working at Aurora Village. If you guys remember those days. I was with Sports West, and I would come over there, and Cindy had never chopped the onions right. They're always the wrong way. Anyways, Hoover was driving a Starsky and Hutch Duster at the time, and let alone a couple of years later, we ended up forming Tri-City Merchants, and I was with the Landmark again, and he was with Linwood Merchants, and we ended up having a few good seasons in a row. We were in between 9 and 10 tournaments, so it was good stuff. Good stuff. And then in the mid-'80s, late '80s, we formed up with Softball Express with Gary Smith. God rest Gary's soul. Good man. I think we won Highland Park three years in a row there. So, and went on to play a lot of tournaments, regionals. Sunnyvale, Billings, Montana, where I think we played at 2 in the morning because of the rain. It was crazy. Billings is a strange town. It's kind of where men were men and sheep were nervous, but it's all good stuff. Went on to San Clemente and played it. Told you to do this to me tough. Anyways, played in Anaheim and San Clemente, a lot of tournaments, a lot of fun road trips, Moses Lake, Brush Prairie, Yakima, Longview, all the way to Bellingham. A lot of barbecues, camping, and fun memories, not just softball. So, of course, Cindy, for all those years, kept score, was our scorekeeper, and she had to put up with a lot of people asking, "Is that a hit, Cindy?" Pat. Had to get that in, Pat, sorry.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, love you. But all in all, it was a good time, and I think the biggest thing out of softball is the lifelong relationships you build outside of softball. My wife at the time and Cindy's had the same birthday, so we used to do a lot of stuff together, and a lot of New Year's Eve celebrations and weddings and vacations and kids and stuff like that. But Hoover's one of the only guys I know that can play all 10 positions and you don't skip a beat. So it was an honor to be here and obviously play with him and against him. And I'll try and finish the match. So Jack will be there. So it is an honor here to be here with Greg and represent him, and it's well deserved. Thanks.
I know what you're all thinking. It's time to go, and it's going to keep it short. I'll try to accommodate some of that. But first, I want to thank Robin. He came up here from Arizona, and I know it was a big thing for him. I know it was difficult for him. I'm glad he came. I think he'll remember this for the rest of his life as well as me. Like I said, I've known Robin for 30-some years. We shared so many experiences, and for him to be here tonight is really special to me, and I really appreciate that, Rob. So thank you, first and foremost. I know it's already been spoken to, but I really wanted to thank Dale McGregor for all the work he's done putting this together. I know it doesn't just happen. I know there's a lot of work behind the scenes, so they really did a great job again. I really appreciate all the support they've given to me navigating my way through all this to get to this point here today. So thanks, Dale, for all your work. And then I want to kind of recognize too, we haven't spoken to, but some of my support group, my family that's here. Mom and Dad, came. They've been down in Arizona. They decided to come up for me today. I appreciate that. I mean, you instilled that notion of hard work in me that I live and breathe every day. And my brothers, Rob and Rich, so many days of one-on-one games in the backyard, playing pickleball or wiffle ball. It's really instilled that competition that we've always had and made us who we are today, I think, as far as softball players and athletes. My sister, Shelly Michelle. She probably ended up being the best athlete of the four of us. No doubt. She was all everything and everything she did. In high school, she was all conference and anything she did. Everything she touched, she was the best. She went on to play at my alma mater, Western, in college, and ended up going to the Nationals in Kansas City. I got to go watch her play there. She recently ran in the Boston Marathon, so she's just one of those freaks that if she would have been a guy, she would have been quite the softball player. So thank you, Shelly, for making the trip too. And then I know Colton, Dave, my sons, I know this is boring for you. I see your heads back. I know what you're doing. Appreciate that you're here. You've supported me in everything I've ever done. I coach high school basketball, and they've helped me to be a part of that. When I'm coaching, doing clinics in the summer, they've been helping with that. They've always been there for me. You keep me young every single day, so thank you guys for coming here. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one single person here, Cindy, my wife. Yeah, she's been the rock for me. Whether it's been my high school coaching career, coaching girls basketball, especially being a male coaching girls basketball can be quite a challenge, and she really helped me navigate through a lot of those things, whether it's cookies or some of the things that I would never think of as far as what they think is important. She helped me through all those things. And of course, all the times we spent in softball, and like Robin mentioned, those early years she was there right beside me camping out. Although camping to her now is the Hilton or something. I don't think it's the same thing anymore. But keeping score, or even in my basketball career coaching, she was there helping me scout games, watching film, doing stats. I mean, she's always right there supporting me all the time. So Cindy, again, thanks for being here and helping me through all this. And then finally, I just want to really sincerely thank everyone involved for thinking of me, for this wonderful recognition. It's certainly one of the most meaningful and personal honors I've ever received, and I'm really proud and flattered to be, standing here in front of you today. But I think you've heard some of the sentiments from even Chris today, it's about the relationships. And one of the things one little anecdotal thing, when I was coaching a game, I think it was last summer, or no, not last winter. I think that Sammy Long was the lead official for that game. We're playing a game at Ballard. And the teams are warming up, and I'm standing there, so Sammy kind of stands up beside me and goes, "Hey, congratulations, Greg. I think you're going to make it in the Hall of Fame. You're well deserved." I'm saying, "Well, really, thanks, great." And then he just stood there, and like officials do, and just kind of gave him the kind of blank stare. Kind of got a little bit awkward, standing next to me, so I didn't know if he was waiting for me to give him the obligatory 20 or what he was waiting for. I'll be curt. Clearly, it wasn't enough because we didn't win that game, so I guess I didn't think about that. I'm kidding, Sammy. I know you would never do that. I've had the great fortune of playing alongside, so many amazing teammates. Many of you mentioned that have already been in the Hall of Fame well before me. And, now to be standing here in front of you, these same guys that I've been playing with, and showing you this celebration is just surreal to me right now. It's really incredible. But Jack was nice enough to bring me back down to earth to remind me that I was probably the oldest inductee into the Hall of Fame. So thank you for that, Jack. Brought me right back down to earth again. Even that said, nonetheless, I'm still young at heart and will forever cherish this game of softball. I continue to play today in the senior level, and I love the opportunities that USSSA brought to me. Which includes some of the lifelong friendships that I've been able to get and honor with all these people that I see here today, and had some really incredible successes on the field as well. There are so many fun and amazing stories I could share with you. I could probably spend all night with you, but I won't. What I will share is some of the teammates that are here with me. Just to say, those are the guys that really made this game for me fun, and it's what made me come back year after year after year. Early on we were with Pacific Blues. We had a pretty amazing team with that group. We had a group of guys that we called the Monuments. I think the Monuments were there's this prerequisite to become a monument. He was kind of the Mount Rushmore of the thing. And he had to be probably, I think it was 250. He had to be at least 250 to be be a part of the Monuments. This is all talking about, well, I'll tell you what they were. Let's see, so obviously Steve Layton Jr., he fit that one. It was Joe Marchese, it was Jack Orweiler, and Alba, who's not Alba Mallory. The Monuments, the 4 Monuments. So that was really equivalent to that, just that during batting practices, they basically took their positions and let everybody else go shag. And then they both had to take their turn up to bat. So every once in a while I'd kind of meander up next to them, and I finally got to be called, I was the climber. I was the 4th one, I was the climber. So that's what I'm known today as the climber, because I never could get the 250 down, so I just had to kind of mosey up next to them, so. Yeah, but these guys, it's funny that they all have nicknames. Every single one of them. Over the years we've always come through with that. Steve Layton Jr., Swoonabaker. He's probably still has the most power of any guy I've played with to this day. I've seen the longest balls hit by that guy. And I'm really excited about the opportunity for playing with him again this year. Jack Orweiler, action. He knows this, he's probably hit the most foul ball home runs in history. But if you know Jack, what you really appreciate about him is he's the one that made us keep looking good on the field. Some of the uniforms that we've had are just been something amazing. Absent probably the orange we went with one year called us the Pumpkins. That doesn't really set really. I think those guys put away. But aside from that, Mike Olson's here, Ole, my other brother. I played with him for so many years. 30 plus years as well. He's commonly called the surgeon with the bat because he's so adept at getting hits in crunch times and in many different situations. I can still, to this day, always when him playing second base and me playing short, hear him telling me to sit, and balls coming to me. So he's, again, I'll get the chance to play with Mikey again this year with the new team with the Goodman Racing, which is soon to be called the Goodman Legends. I'm anxious for that again, yes. Chris Bazan's Plaz, good to see he's here. One of the most consistent hitters we've ever wanted. You always want him to be on your team. Pat Rutherford, Puppy, Yeah, Buffy. Remember him from, and I know he talks about this forever, but the catch in Ephrata. We played a tournament in Ephrata many years ago. As we lost our first game on Sunday, had to play 9 games that day to win the championship, and one of the plays that was made was Pat Rutherford leaping out, making a great catch. So he's just one of my lifetime friends. I've known him since we lived in a neighborhood together when we were, I don't know how old, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. We were young. Yeah.
Volleyball players on that street.
Yeah, right. You're right. Steve Butner, just started playing with Buttes the last couple of years. You know, what I really appreciate about Buttes is, you know, he lets his play on the field do all of his talking. And then 3 years ago we won the Worlds. You know, him being not a starter but still winning, getting an all-world recognition for that was just amazing. And so I look forward to the opportunity again to play with Buttes soon. Reggie Bond came down from Canada. I just started playing with him last year. The Canuck. I don't know much more to say about you there, Red. We'll probably build something for this coming year, I'm sure. Yeah. You know, one of my lifelong friends, you know, Kyle Vanderberg, sitting in the back here. We called him One Adam Kyle because of his work with the police and that. And he was, you know, in our slang, I'm great, and I'm anxious to kind of rekindle some of our friendship. He's been away in California for so long, now he's moved back, and he's my best man at our wedding. And at our teams, when we played out, he was kind of the voice of reason. You know, he had a brother that was loud, I guess it'd be kind to say. So he kept us centered. Let's just leave it at that. You know, Rich, my brother Rich, big bucks. I think they call him All Canada sometimes too, because he played his college basketball in Simon Fraser. So, but most people know him as Big Bucks or Richie Buns or that sometimes. But you know, Rich was probably one of the most talented, you know, 5-tool players you'd ever see. He's you know, hitting, defense, arm strength. I couldn't think of the next two. I'm sure. I think the other two are drinking and eating. I don't know what to say. You know, a couple other things. I'll just add a couple anecdotal things too. You know, like I said, I've had so many stories I could have shared, but I just came with a couple. So Nate, I told you I was going to talk about you, so here we go. You know, Nate Lawson, the big cat. You know, what I most appreciate about him was his competitiveness on the field and his moonshine off the field. So the story I'll share with that was many years ago, they invented the titanium bat. If ever you've ever seen one or used one of those titanium bats, they're just incredible. I mean, they are so live that we would go take batting practice at baseball fields, hitting the ball 300, 350, some guys 400 feet. So we scheduled a scrimmage out at White Center at this baseball field to play. And I had a ball hit to me. I just was always so nervous when this, because you get to seeing these big guys hitting this ball with these titanium bats, and if they just missed it and topped it, you get that top spin coming to the infield and the dirt infields. Well, that happened. And this ball had the top spin, hit me, got in front of it, knocked it down, hit it in my chest. The ball was still spinning, it took skin off my chest. The ball sitting in front of you, and the one thing I hear from Nate is, "Well, pick the ball up!" So I was still trying to recover, but no, just pick the damn ball and make the play, would you? Focus. And then I'll share just one other story about Robin. You know, I was able to witness his one and only home run that he hit over the fence at the Meadowdale Center complex there. And this is before the day of the senior bats. So we joked with him, "You better go run over there and get that ball and sign it because nobody's going to believe you." I think when he got home and told his wife that he hit a home run, I think she laughed and said, "What, were you standing on second base when you hit it?" So that's all I'm going to say. I'm sharing with you. There's so many stories. I'll talk to you all you want. I could be up here forever. But it is all about the relationships that I've had with these guys. They are my family on and off the field. We've had so many great experiences. It's just the biggest part of my life I've ever had that I can share with these guys tonight and have this kind of fun. And so, you know, really in closing, I just want to thank you all for making this such a fun and memorable night, so thank you.
Okay, again, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Thank you for coming to celebrate this evening with these inductees. Again, I want to ask the inductees right here at the end, as soon as we break, to come up here up front by the side here so we can get a group picture for you. Last thing we have tonight, Roger Wilson's going to announce next year's inductees for that Hall of Fame banquet on January 30th.
This is the first year we've done this at this banquet. I think it's a neat deal. A lot of these people, you people in here know them. I just want to say before I go, the one thing I got out of Greg's speech was that his sister's a freak. I'm not sure that's the neat way to end the night. His buddies are his best friends and great guys. Male player category. Brett Newbill. And Mike Reeder. Female category, Tammy Woodley. Umpire category, Gene Williams. As a sponsor, Gina Eaton. The executive and special category, Stroyan Kennison. The final inductee didn't appear on our ballots, but as an executive state director privilege, we always reserve the right to induct somebody into the Hall of Fame that possibly people nowadays may not know that much about. Dale and I talked, along with the Hall of Fame committee. Rick Littlejohn will go in next year as a male player. Again, as Paul said, this is my last year doing this. Stroyan Kennison will take over next year. He'll be our executive state director along with Dale helping him. It's really been a privilege for me, but you know, it's amazing to look out here at all the players that are here. And Greg, you went over a lot of them. And I don't know a lot of faces. I said, God, I know that guy, but I can't remember his name. But you introduce him again, brings back a lot of memories. And I thank you all for being here, and I thank my friends in the association for the years that I've spent. You got it? That's good. Okay, that's it. If you guys are all, remember you got to buy Barbara that Corona with extra line. And be up here for your pictures, please.